Okay, Michael, is there a question and thoughts you have about my website, onebigregret.com? Okay, well, let's do a little screen share here. And Michael, how are you doing, by the way?
Yeah, good, Todd. Good to see you. Yeah, it's good to be here. And
so here's what we got. So one big regret, making friends with anger and shame, the whole person approach. So are you just kind of wanting my commentary, just first impressions as I look at it?
yeah, basically that type. When I shared it with you through your email, you did mention that you had a couple of ideas, but I don't just whatever you feel kind of jumps out for what would be helpful to share in this space.
You bet. Okay. So yeah, Michael and I, Michael is in my membership, or was, or at some point, and he shared this with me, and I thought it came from some conversations we had, I think, during the weekly calls, where we were looking at what Michael was offering, and I think it was during the puttering session. Was this when it came out?
Yes, this is when we talked about this during our one-on-one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. I'm remembering exactly where I was physically when this came up.
Yeah.
And so we realized that one of the big themes, one of the big things that people bring to Michael that he's had his own experience with is regrets. You know, you spend your time in a way and it seems like, oh my God, I wasted it all. You married the wrong person. It's like most of us in our life have a big one. There's all sorts of the little regrets, and then we got a few of the whoppers. And so this compelling thought of what if you just focused on working with people around, like, let's just take that one big regret you have, and let's just do the work on that of healing and coming to some peace with it. So yeah, so when I looked at this, I mean, I just love the URL name, and I love, well, right on top, making friends with anger and shame. The whole person approach, I would probably just cut, because I think that's point of view that can come later. And I want to see a bit more of a headline, just contextualizing what do you mean by one big regret? So some kind of a sentence like, this sounds too schlocky, but something like, do you have that one big regret in your life that you can't seem to get over no matter how much you've tried? And it's just left you feeling angry and ashamed and embarrassed and all this. I can help. I mean, that's a poor wording, but it's that basic idea where we're just expanding and trying to put it, instead of just here's the title, one big regret, we're trying to put them in it, or ask them if they have one in their life personally. So we're not talking academically about regrets. We're saying, do you have something in your life that's a big one? And because this here, what if we could see our deepest desire to know, see our deepest desire is to know this. This is, to me, way down. This is a deep, deep point of view. I probably wouldn't get to right away. This is also point of view. Our task then becomes to meet anger and shame with kindness. This is kind of island sea, like this is, way down the road.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Shame and anger doesn't need to freeze and isolate us. With awareness and inclusion, it can free us. So let me ask you this. If somebody really works with their deepest regret, the thing that's just dogged them for years, what frees up in them? What does that allow? What's the other side of this? What can come from really doing the honest work on their one big regret?
Basically, spaciousness to include all of their experiences, whether they're good or bad, even though we can admit that something was a mistake, when we actually are present to ourselves and include all of the shame and anger that's still welling up within us, then it frees up us to actually make a choice that brings about more aliveness in our life. So when we include all of those parts that we like to keep hidden, they can bring about more spaciousness.
Yeah, so there's something about Island A, this having a big regret is there's not a lot of space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's try this. I'm just curious in the chat, because I'm sure there's some regrets in the room. So when you think of your one big regret, what is it you are craving the most? So in the chat, I'm going to invite you to share. Yeah, when we think about like the biggest regret you have, and of course, don't name it. But when you think about what it is, especially one that's still unresolved for you, what are you craving the most? What's the thing you're yearning for in relation to that? If that's Island A, you're on Island A, you've got this regret, you're just all the shame and the self-recrimination and the I'm a failure, and I wasted time, and I'm so stupid, and this is evidence I'm a failure. Yeah, oh great, Lily, that's very honest, right? Craving to do it over, to turn back the hands of time. Right, even though it's impossible. Isn't that what we want? Oh man, thank you for being so honest. That's true. Dawn's at peace. Yeah, time lost 20 years. Oh man. Yeah, Michael, you got a friend there with Marie-Pierre. Enid, peace of mind, not going down a spiral of should have. Relief. Yeah, that was a word that came to me too. Relief from the bad feelings. To be able to forgive myself and others and live fully in the present. Freedom to make choices in alignment with myself. Ability to forgive myself. To know the answer to what if. Oh boy, don't we all want to know that? Yeah, what if I hadn't done that? What if I'd done the other thing? Oh, giving too much time and internal space to someone toxic. Okay, that's answering a different question. The question is, what are you craving? What do you want when you're in that, thinking about that? To get off the hamster wheel of obsessive thoughts, right? I can't let it go like that. I just always, it's like a chip on my tooth. My tongue keeps going back. Right, wish I would have pursued mentorship much earlier. Okay, that's what you're, so the important thing is not, it's like, what are you craving now, present time? Yeah, it's because you can't go back in time. It's not that we're craving, I guess we are craving to go back in time and get the mentorship earlier. But it's okay then, right now, what are we craving? David said, certainty that I learned the lesson and now have the freedom to really move on. Yeah, time back we're craving to move on with my life. Healing the deep sadness of doing what I feel like I was meant to do, clarity and action, release the energy that's tied up with that and other parts of my life. Beautiful, everyone, this is wonderful. Self-forgiveness and faith that there was a higher path of my choice, karmic clearing, healing, wishing I had the insight I have now back then, not speaking my mind. Okay, again, not speaking your mind is what you didn't do, but it's in this moment. When you are thinking about this regret, when you're in the middle of the regret, there's some yearning that wells up in us. God, I just want peace. I just want relief from this. I just want to move on. I just want freedom. I whatever it is. Great. So, Michael, what I'd recommend is there's some great languaging here. I would take that and sort of weave that in. So it's basically like, are you, on Island A with this one big regret, and what you're yearning for most is this? Because when we can really hone what they're craving, because what we have now is, I don't see what they're craving. I see your analysis, your point of view, what you think they need. I see your point of view here. The word free is kind of Island B-ish. I see, okay, so the state of healing. Right? Regret is not a curse, nor is it something to be ashamed of. It's a point of view piece, but I like it. Very compelling. Okay, so just at the top, basically, I want to see a headline or a sentence or two that just names Island A and Island B in such a way that when somebody reads it, they would say, yeah, that's me. Oh, I'm in that situation. Something that acknowledges when we say one big regret, what do we mean by that? Because sometimes we have titles like this and it means a lot to us. But is it like, oh, is Michael promising he's going to give me one big regret? It was a terrible business. I don't need more regrets. Yeah, especially not one big one. Yeah, no. So to contextualize, you're asking them, do you have this one big regret? And you can give a few examples. This would be very helpful. I mean, this could be on this above the fold, but below it might be something like, hey, most of us in our life fuck up so royally, so monumentally, that the course of our life is forever changed. And if we could go back in time and change it, we would do anything. And we can't. But it's things like this. And I might give 3 to 7 examples, real life examples, like from your own life. But generally, broad strokes. You went down a course of education that didn't pan out. You were left with all this student debt. You married the wrong person. You hurt somebody. You got drunk and did something you regretted. Whatever it is. Some of the big regrets. You didn't take care of your health when you were younger, and here you are now with these health conditions. You smoked. That people could read it and say, oh, and see themselves at least in one of them. And then it's this, yeah. And so what do we do with these regrets? Because we can't go back in time. It's the thing we want most is unavailable to us. We can't turn back the clock. So what then? How do we get free? How do we find relief from this suffering, given that we can't change what happened? And then that's where your point of view comes in. This is my take on how we deal with regrets. Even the big ones that seem, insurmountable. This is my take on how we do it. How does that land?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep, that's helpful. Yeah, just to even help me clarify what I mean by one big regret, because that's even naming the website that I'm like, okay, how is that going to be perceived? And what I'm not wanting is them, to be drawn back into time, believing that that's where I'm pointing them to.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's helpful.
I hear you, and I wouldn't worry about it. Because sometimes I know we think, oh, I don't want to market negatively, so they have this regret, and I don't want to point them back towards that. You're not pointing them back. That's where they're living. That is their current state.
If they can see that. Yeah, right.
Exactly. So we're not pointing at that. It's not a pointing. It's more like a, oh, hey, I see. You are just living in the spiral of that one big regret. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Once there's that empathy established for that fact, then you can say, and you want to be over there, hey, where you're free. You want to be on the other side of this, don't you? Okay, let me tell you the way I would help you get there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then it's up to you.
Yeah, that's helpful, Tad. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is beautiful work that you're up to. I mean, gosh, I think many people on this call can resonate with the one big regret. So go check Michael out if you got one.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to the chat. Yeah, thanks everyone for your beautiful insights there too.